Right, here we are back, part 2 of the rant, guys. You'll say the emails and us to have a little bit of a rant about something. Just winter racing, not too much ranting going on at the moment between us. When we're in court against...
I know, but they were very, John Sargent on our Facebook page, and he's not the horse trainer, was very excited about your review of The Voice last week.
Oh,
yeah. The best review, he said it was the best review of The Voice ever, and the winner will be the new Casey Donovan.
Oh, absolutely. Big fat nobody that we'll never hear again.
Ben Metcalf, who's obviously been at races for a long time, he said, the Glenster made a comment about 11-year-old son of a bookie changing the odds on his dad's stand.
I've since found out he's 16, he just looks 11.
And that Lenny Burke would roll over in his grave. He is in year 10, isn't he? That may be so, but Lenny never had a problem taking my money when I was 12, nor Waterhouse, Todd or Tidmarsh, except once.
No, I understand that you're allowed to bet with them, I just think you're allowed to run their business.
I always bet 50% of my bank size, and one day it was a total strip out. I liked the second fave, was keenly watching the odds, and then Tidmarsh pushed it out to 13-4 from threes, so I've charged in front of the maddening crush and for a whole $1 each way. Well, Les went ballistic. There was spit and foam coming from his mouth as he tried to call this bet. I could see he was struggling. He was struggling, so trying to help. I called the odds for him and also the place value. Well, that sent him into overdrive. I thought he might have jumped off the stand and killed me. That was betting for real in the 70s before we all got precious. And as for this betting at a young age being bad for you, I can only say that those early days made me a better person with gambling. I understood risk and reward, and that early life experience has helped me in my professional career, project risk management. The real world is the best place for learn not staring into a screen. Thanks, Ben.
What a brilliant email, and so true, so true. Like, look at all the young kids today. All of you out there, you're all working 50 hours a week. The missus working 50 hours a week. You've got to service a mortgage, but you can't afford it. You're trying to get to the marketplace. What do you do with the kids? You put them in front of the TV, put them in front of the TV, you get in the car, you give them an iPad. They're all turning into fucking retards. You've heard it here first on the rant. New South Wales children are overweight and are retards. Unfortunately, the parents...
So they're lucky it's restricted to New South Wales.
Is, that's one where I think there's some truth to that, really.
I never tell the truth. They're fucking retards, kids. They walk around like, you and me be at the front kicking a football, we're trying to rob a mug, we're trying to get the money on.
Stealing flowers out of garden.
Yeah, living by your wits.
Yeah.
Just trying to fucking have a go. Yeah. This country's absolutely been...
I don't know how you can't turn this ship around.
Oh no, it's evolution.
Do you think
the evolution is more retardism, so that eventually gets to a point where someone like Kim Jong-un in the future hits a button where you all explode. It's going to be fucking great.
You started at the beginning where you said the parents can't, are so hocked up they can't afford the mortgage. They're so stressed, and that's right. So it's faster, busier, faster society.
It costs you $50 a week to drive on the roads in tolls, another 80 in petrol. How do you afford to do that? You can't take the kids anywhere. You go down to it's holidays. Drive past all the parks. There's not a kid anywhere.
But the thing is, the parks are free. So why wouldn't you be going to them?
Because of social media, there's a pedophile in the laws. George Paul flew back in time. Town. It's fucking scary. And it's easy to put them in front of Daniel Boom or watch Oprah or The View.
It's easy.
And then and then they go to the kids' channels, and then you got Stan, it's just retard central. It's no good. It's no good.
But is it a conspiracy? Like, do they want good little robots? Possibly. The powers that be. Do they want just good little robots?
Them.
Yeah.
I think they fucking put a new porn when they're 11.
The cabal.
They think every shield takes up the fucking date on their first date.
Without lube.
But it's just like that's normal sexual activity.
Yes.
Oh yeah, darling, I'm 11. Cop this. Like it's fucking all wrong. Don't you agree? You're a fucking idiot.
Anyway, okay. All right, that's lifestyle advice from Glenn, and Gordo agrees. There was a lot of discussion last week about Gallic Chieftain, and a few correspondents wrote in to say that they thought he was a horse to follow, notably Ralphie, who made mention of the fact that he'd run in a brutal race to start before. So thanks for all that. Joe Bubkus.
Good man, Joe Bubkus.
He said, when speaking about Michelle Payne, could you please use her full name?
This is funny.
Melbourne Cup winning jockey Michelle Payne.
That is her full name now. Melbourne, there could be Group
Was it
1
G Pollett?
Melbourne Cup winning jockey Michelle Payne. Everywhere she goes, that's how they
introduce her.
What about when she gets married? Do you take Melbourne Cup winning Michelle Payne to be your wife? Not the jockey girls ever get married. They never get married, the girls. I mean, look, they just never get married because they're
but what about, you know what? People write in for some names for other jockeys. It'll be really funny. Okay, so that's Melbourne Cup winning jockey Michelle Payne. We'll have something
Girl
about Damien Oliver.
Outrides Corey Brown again. There's some classics. You know all these years where you can give it a Corey? Every time I see him, he smiles. Says,
Yeah, he was our first guest on the Punters
He's a
Show.
real chin.
He's a
Not like
legend, yeah.
a few of the other precious little things.
And you know what? That's why it's so good to see him riding so well as well.
Oh, it's a beauty.
You know,
52 kilos. He gets every opportunity to ride.
See him get that.
Probably rides a couple more winners than Hieronymus.
Got that horse Regiment home yesterday. You know,
Brilliant ride.
Yeah.
Brilliant ride.
I put up a piece on the Facebook page last week written by, is it Vicky? She works in stud, so she's a bit different to us, but she went to do a master's and they all sat down and they said, well, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And they're all like regular Joes, and she says she works at a horse stud. And at first the questions they asked seemed innocent enough, but then things got a bit heated. What do you do with the slow horses? How long do you think it'll be until thoroughbred horse racing is banned like greyhound racing? How many horses die racing each year? At first I was annoyed, so I went on the defensive. I couldn't understand their ignorance. But their questions stem from genuine perplexity about why I would work in such a controversial, antiquated industry. Their perception of horse racing was that it either challenged their moral compass on social issues or they thought it was outdated, a sport for old men in dingy pubs. And I think that's probably is the perception of horse racing outside our...
Yeah.
You know, and...
but it's kind of like self-fulfilling, but all parents think that, so they don't let their kids get involved in it, so it becomes the old man game because the society's not letting the new one in.
It's been like so tortured by the TV and the iPad. They haven't got the brain capacity to work out the different angles in form and the wagering. Oh, you're going to lose, so why'd you get involved?
Yeah, but you know what? If you were allowed to, let's say, you know how the preschoolers get their dads in or mums in to talk about what they do for a job? If you got to talk about what you do for a job, the kids would listen and be fascinated while the accountant goes in and bores them shit.
And the principal starts marching down going, whose dad is that?
You're on detention.
Poor Miss Bond, like the thing she used to go, what does your dad do? Because I was flying like when she was at primary school age, I just said, like, I think I had $1,050,000 in cash under the bed in shoe boxes, and she said, and like the kids used to go there probably blind, but that was right. And the kids asked her what her dad do, and she said he goes to the races and brings home boxes of cash. It's a great answer.
Oh my God.
It's a great answer.
Did you get called up?
No, they just went, no. And then it'd be like 6 months later, I couldn't pay the fee. They go, the boxes of cash have run out.
But anyway, the point of this is that we need to do something about it. And the problem is social media. So social media is negative about horse racing.
We need to get away from Racing New South Wales and all the powers that be with this. Let's up everything. The prize money's going up. This big announcement. We've brought back the Ledger, which I think is great, but there's some really awful races that have gone from 200,000 to 500,000, like the Hill Stakes. How does the Hill Stakes go from 200? And who cares?
Because you're trying to
beat Melbourne?
Yeah, you're trying to beat Melbourne.
Well, no one cares about that. We need the industry to grow, and the best way we can do it is, don't get me started, but I even watch that Australian Ninja, okay? It's like these people out here. He's the nicest bloke in the world, this bloke that talks out here, but he talks the way they all talk because he wants to keep his job. The main bloke here today, what's his name?
Richard.
Yeah, Richie. He's a terrific fellow. Richie's a handsome bloke and she'll be on TV, but he says the same things that they think everybody wants to hear, and no one wants to hear it. But on the Australian Ninja, the bloke, Ben Fordham, does it. He's a terrific bloke on talkback. He going for the rings. The reason he fell in the water was he let go. For fuck's sake, Ben.
That's good analysis.
I can see that. Yes, he let go and he went. Gravity kicked in, which is my favourite subject, gravity. And as you all know, you'll never stop that, no matter how much you pray. And he said he let go of the rings, and that's why he fell in the pool. You've got to turn it off.
I think it's more fascinating that you've come up with 2 shows recently. That's The Voice and Australian Ninja.
Australian Ninja's grouse, because Australian Ninja, that could be my body. That's what you think. I'm not nearly that fit. If I
do a bit of work.
If I started training, we could be like chicks that would say, I could do it. And then you wait in the morning going, I can't be bothered doing anything. It's grouse. I love really fit people. I love looking at them, girls and guys. I'm a bit of a man perv, even though I'm not fag. I just wish I was like that. I can be like that, Gord.
No. Sorry,
Really...
clinky, isn't it? You just said fag.
Chinky, sorry to you. But yeah, it does my head in. But if you let go of, he's such a good guy, that Ben. But you can't. It's everything is unwatchable, and it's not. It's beyond politically correct now. It's been buffed like beyond, and it's ruined all of us.
It has. So John was after a story from the old days when you were a bookmaker. I think the boxes of cash has pretty much solved that one. Kieran wrote in, he's over in the UK and he's struggling to get a bet on, and I wasn't aware of this, Glenn, that if you've got an Australian, New South Wales tab account and you're in the UK, they won't let you bet on the internet because they're saying that internet betting is banned in the UK, which doesn't sound right to me. Does anyone out there know about betting from the UK into your tab account?
And please write with a different corporate.
I'm sure internet betting is not banned in the UK.
Kieran, try it with one of the
fair people of all time.
Yeah,
well apparently he's asked the tab, and they said you're in a country that does not allow internet gambling.
We're going to find out more about this pommy bloke that's come over to run the tab, because I am in ownership of a letter from a TAB to a customer. I can't bring it up to show you because we've got to find permission if we can read it out and use it. And the letter says that not only is he barred from all types of betting on the TAB, fixed odds, that he is now barred from walking into a TAB. And if he walked into a TAB, they're going to call the police and charge him with trespass. So I don't know what's going on at the TAB, but they sound like they're fucking mental.
I couldn't even believe that story. It just seems impossible, doesn't it?
I've got the letter. Yeah. You can't bar someone from walking into a tab. This is Australia, for fuck's sake. What are you going to do? Not let him walk into a hotel and have a beer? Like, who do you think you are, Tab? I've got the letter. I've got to work it all out. I don't know. All I know is there's a Pommy's come over to run the company. We've seen what Pommy corporates have done with corporate betting.
He's doing the same thing.
Pommy's like, when they're at Pommy Ninja, they run over little 3-foot moles and go, woo, and they don't even make it because they're fucking retards. Pommies.
I tell you what, they're really not good physical specimens.
Hang on.
They spent their whole life, 50 years ago, they were retarded more by TV because of climate.
But, they're stuck inside.
You haven't got to count with it. The tab's not paying anymore, aren't they? We can go on a bit now.
Gordon's mum's a Pommy.
Yeah, very nice.
She got out.
My father's Pommy.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll try and find out some more details about that for whatever now.
Yeah, now TQ wrote in, I just noticed this morning that B&P Cheers are now training out of Port Macquarie. Where were they trained, Tari?
Yes.
A month or so ago, there was also a report on the 7:30 report about bullying in Racing New South Wales that reported that 10 trainers had spoken up about the issue in New South Wales, among them B. Cheers, P. Webber and B. Partelli. P. Volandes denied that bullying existed in Racing New South Wales. Well, of course he's going to deny it, isn't he? Obviously, he's either ignorant or complicit, and neither is an attribute you expect from a CEO of an organisation. The story reports on a culture of bullying within the industry in New South Wales, and having heard Mr. Volandes interviewed many times, it's not hard to imagine where the culture emanates from. Usually when a toxic culture exists within an organisation, it's rife throughout and stems from the type of leadership involved. Why haven't you guys discussed this issue on the show?
I didn't know about it.
So it was well publicised. In fact, that's mainstream media, 7:30 report. And
I did watch a thing with Pam and thing, but I thought it was more a legal argument. I didn't know. So I don't believe in bullying. Peter's trying to protect his thing, and they're trying to say, well, this is wrong. Is that bullying?
Well,
me and TQ have different views on bullying and things. Like I'm saying chink for TQ. You know.
All right, we'd like to discuss this on the show, but I think we'd like some viewer feedback about those of you who've seen the 7:30 report and what you thought about it.
I'll give you a good example. Let's say TQ is an example, or people that don't like people like me saying fag or something like that. Right, okay. Because I like TQ, I've taken that on board and trying to change my ways. But isn't that a form of bullying, her saying she doesn't like the way I deliver? Where does this all end, this freedom of speech? I don't care about jockeys, I once said, and cost me my whole livelihood because certain jockeys rang up Pete.
But in the old days, there'd be a bit of bullying in the schoolyard. You'd get in a punch-up, you'd throw a few, and then you'd be best mates with the bloke a couple of days later. I know.
You guys are both atavists.
Yeah. What's that?
Throwbacks.
Oh, we're dinosaurs, yeah.
Yeah,
But you know what? They end up being your best mates. You know,
have you seen the
you're like,
children
oh,
walking
geez,
around
you
these
throw a
days?
decent punch.
Have you seen the children? They walk around like this, they're like, and then they get into teenage years, they wear their pants down here with their underwear showing, and the boys, then they get to 19 or 20, they wear no socks with short pants, lifted up and you look at their shins. Everybody is retarded, I'm telling you. Nothing like a low blue shirt. And
you know, it's got to do with Dan, I don't know, it's this new PC world with therapy. So remember, you get in the stink, the principal would say, Sutherland is what they call it, Sutherland, pick up 10 papers, you know, and that was it. They just didn't care. And then I think I got in one when I was in about year 11 or something like that, and I had to go and see a psychologist.
So not the school counsellor?
No, like had to make an appointment to a psychologist because
right. Well, that went well.
If you're caught fighting on school grounds, then you have to do it.
Yeah,
you know?
so there would have been a Department of Education directive.
Yeah.
All right. It's like when I got divorced, I wanted my wife to have 100% of our assets because I was just going to start again. My whole life's about starting again, and she'd been such a solid stick. So like, you take everything, and I thought, and the government wrote to me. I had to go see a psychologist about it.
Because you obviously lost your mind.
$10,000 in legal fees to go tell somebody I'm sweet. And when I walked out of the hour and a half session with the psychologist bloke, the poor bastard needed a psychologist himself. He said, "Can you look, just fucking write me a check? Can you please, sweet, rubber stamp, please, man? You're fucking insane." And he just, the world's immense.
So they're obviously thinking that the missus must have brainwashed you in order for you to offer 100%.
No, they were thinking they didn't want me to be, apparently, the second half of my life to finish up completely broke and being a problem for the government, which is where I'm at.
Yeah.
So their foresight has worked out right.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like,
so Glenn, when you go downstairs,
let's just all join Tom Cruise and join a church or something.
When you go downstairs after this show, see if you can find any of those boxes.
Let's find a few boxes today.
Let's go get some boxes.
So Greg wrote in, he said, just wanted to say, I continue to enjoy the show, but have to email in and take Glenn to task. His comments last week about D. Yendall were a gross misrepresentation, and believe it or not, a lot of people respect Glenn's opinion, but to parrot such rubbish is doing his reputation no good at all.
I have no reputation.
Anyone that watches every single race in Melbourne, both country and city, will know that D. Yendall is a myth. Okay. Tactically, he's unsound, and he's a genuine provincial rider who gets rides in town, A, because he rides work for Weir, whose use of jockeys in Melbourne is suspect at the best of times.
Can I just jump in there? I don't watch races in Melbourne. When I stayed home and bet in the run, which I stopped doing because I all of a sudden going no good at it, I used to not lay Dean in the run. He used to win a stack of races. It was just so I don't have probably enough information to make that comment. So you'll be right here.
Okay. To be qualified as a judge, surely you need to watch him day in, day out. Well, what makes Avdallah such a gun rider is his consistency, apart from the last 6 weeks where he's melting under the pressure. But if you watch Yendall, outside his sit and steer, even money pops in the bush, tactically he doesn't have a clue. If you refer to his win on Calandra, he drew inside and had no option but to stay where he was. There are plenty of more polished and consistent riders than him, and I felt the comment was unfair to say he could be a leading rider. A bloke like Jeff Penzer would handle him 9 out of 10 at the provincials. Anyway, opinions are like arseholes, everyone has one.
I take on board what he's saying, because this bloke, listening to that email, it sounds like he really would know. And someone threw the comment to me on the show, and all I knew is every time I laid him in Melbourne, he would win. I thought, wow, if he does...
But you know, I love that stuff. You get these ideas in your head, and you're pretty confident they're true, and then you check the data,
That's right.
realise...
Or you put it out there. You put it out there, and someone has written it. So we got Paul... we got Paul Daly.
Thank you very much for that email, and you be right, I be wrong, and that's not surprising in life.
Okay, so our last 2 years, he's had 1,756 rides, and he's losing tick over 5% on turnover, which
that's not too bad.
Sounds like a pretty good rider.
And then I said, please, Paul, can you split that into 54.5 and below, 55 and above?
Right.
So, and...
his area of expertise would be the low rides, wouldn't it?
The sample size is a bit small. It's only 222 bets for the low weights. Okay. But he's actually winning 25% on turnover on the light weights. Okay. And which would be would they be bloody...
the ones I've been laying him on.
Okay, so look, that just seems an interesting thing, and maybe it bears a bit more analysis. But
don't they say, like, you know, dead weight, etc.?
Dead weight, but normally the situation is those lightweights are 100 to 1 pops because they're...
Yeah, but you don't need to Well, is that price orientated?
No. It handles the skew there. So it does. If you write like Lascetti's Spirit doesn't get included in a sample because it's skewing the sample.
I know 18 months ago, if you went to the Melbourne Cup and you backed Group 1 Melbourne Cup winning jockey Michelle Payne on the day, you won a lot of profit on that. She only had 3 rides.
Yeah.
You did indeed.
Well, how many girls have had a ride in the Melbourne Cup? The data would say that it's profitable to back women jockeys in the Melbourne Cup.
Now, right, 18 months ago, it was a strip out. That's so true.
We're nearly done. We're nearly done. It's, so on the subject of weights again, Jake wrote in saying, "Hi guys, just wanted your opinion on apprentices claiming on top weights in metro races in preference to a senior jock. Common thought seems to be that a claim is seen as a positive, but I'm starting to wonder if this is an overrated factor. Example comes to mind is Invincible Night a few weeks back, Bowman on despite 61 and a heavy track.
Yep.
I love seeing senior riders on the top weights.
I love it.
I love it.
It's obviously there are horses that are strongly fancied with apprentices on board, but that's not me.
Boys are getting on to 10 past 12 here.
Yeah, and
25 minutes.
There's 2 things. There's 2 things. In fact, there's 1 thing left.
Yeah.
Today is Ramornie Day. If you're watching this today or you're at Grafton Cup Day tomorrow, Grant Lynch, who's a big fan of the show, said you can get what I call an odds boost because everyone understands odds boost now, whereas roll of the board is the old term. So he will give you a better price if you go to his stand at Grafton today or tomorrow and mention the
I watched the
rant.
Just like the rant.
I tell you, today it's going to struggle. We're going to.
Oh, we'll be up in an hour, and there'll be keen beans that'll be there passing a bit of time.
Well, they'll be at the track watching racing rant.
I'm going.
For sure.
I'm going to bed. I'm going, boys. Bye.
All right, but that's the end of the show
Thank
anyway.
you. We'll do the quiz next week because we're running out of time.
Okay, bye.